Welcome into our next installment of our vision videos, which are really designed to bring back into our vision the things that get lost in a very hurried and busy life. Today we're talking about our third core value of missional living. We've talked about gospel-centeredness, we've talked about being a faithful family, but being a family ultimately means we will multiply, and when we multiply, we've got to be people that live on mission. When we talk about being on mission, most of us will immediately think of people or super Christians that are headed out over the sea to a foreign country to bring the gospel to a foreign land. And that's good. We support people going across the sea. We also send people going across the sea. But that's not the full picture of being missional. When Jesus was resurrected, he said to his disciples before he ascended to heaven, he said, "Just as the Father has sent me, so am I sending you." But he didn't leave them with just words. He empowered them by his Spirit. He also said in Acts 1 that he will send his Spirit to empower us to be his witnesses in Jerusalem for them, which is where they lived, in Judea and Samaria, which is where they were headed next, and then to the utter parts of the earth, the ends of the earth. God has always had a vision and a mission for his people to be on mission. So how do we do this? How do we actually really cling on to being a sent out people? Not just a gathering people, but a scattering people. How do we do that? Well, most of us are thinking to ourselves right now, there's no way that I can add anything else to my to-do list. My schedule's full between work and kids and homework and the grocery store. Even if it is curbside pickup, it's just too much. How in the world am I going to be missional in all those things? How can I actually make disciples as I walk? Interesting, because God really wants us to envelop our lives around this idea that we would be a missional people. When Jesus said, "Go and make disciples," he's really saying, as you go in your life, make disciples. Don't add it to your to-do list. Change your to-do list so that when you go to the grocery store or when you go to the softball field, you're there not just as a parent or a consumer, you are there as a Christian, empowered by God's Spirit to bring the gospel to someone. Maybe not there in the moment, but you've got these eyes that are always looking for opportunity to be able to bring the gospel to those that are in need. At the Grove, we talk about being on mission and missional living to make disciples where we are, to make a difference where we are. And we do that, we talk about missional rhythms. When we talk about missional rhythms, there's 5 things that we talk about, and we really want to define those today. The first one is, what would it look like to eat as a missionary? Most of us eat 3 times a day, that's 7 days a week, that's 21 meals in a week. What would it look like for you to take 1 or 2 of those meals and to purposefully invite a non-believer so that you can listen to their story, so that you can be curious about their life and about their kids and about how they got to Houston, learn their history? What would it look like for you to do that and over time be a missionary to where all of a sudden you can share the gospel with them? What would it look like to eat on mission? While you're eating, what would it look like for you to listen to their story, to again be curious about maybe what has gone on in their past and look for ways where the gospel truly is the answer? You can not only just eating and not just listening, but what would it look like for you to celebrate with those? Your coworkers, the people out at the softball field or the soccer field or the football field. How can you celebrate what culture is celebrating with them? You can go into their neighborhood for Halloween. You can celebrate Labor Day or National Night Out or whatever it may be. Maybe they got a pay raise or their birthday or their kid's birthday. Take opportunity and carve out opportunity to go be with those that are lost on mission. What would it look like for you also then? Not just to eat, not just to listen, not just to celebrate. What would it look like for you to recreate? What would it look like for you to take a vacation with some lost families around you? What would it look like for you to maybe go and enter into not a church softball league, but a softball league with some believers and then bring the gospel to the people that are there? Invite your non-believing friends to play on the same softball team, build a relationship with them, and just go and be with them. Practice a ministry of presence with them, listening to their story and enjoying what God is truly writing in their heart. looking again for opportunity for the gospel to take root. Not just eating, not just listening, not just celebrating, not just recreating, but do we have eyes open to be a blessing to our neighborhood, to be a blessing to the city in which God has called us to live in? The Bible says this in Acts 17. It says that God has determined the times and the boundaries within which we should live. That means that in God's sovereignty, in His wisdom, in His providence, He's put you exactly where He wants you. And if that's true, that means you have a mission. And that mission, my friends, is to make disciples of all nations, baptizing them, immersing them into the name of the Father, the Son, and the Spirit, and then teaching them to obey all that Jesus has commanded. And isn't that the missing ingredient? Of course it is, that when we are a people that are sent out on mission, when we not just acknowledge that we should be on mission, but that we start to engage in missional living through eating, through listening, through celebrating, through recreating, and through blessing others, we will never do that if we don't have an absolute love for Jesus. Jesus said that if you love me, you will obey me. You see, the way that we will display our love for Jesus is obedience to these things. And so my prayer for you, my prayer for me, is that we would be a people that would live on mission right where we are, to be disciples that make a difference right where we are, because in God's wisdom, He's put us exactly where we are, at this time, at this place, with these people around us. And our job, our joy, is to go and bring the gospel to them. I pray that you will join us in this mission. I pray that you will understand that this is your mission as a follower of Jesus, is to make disciples of all nations. God's grace to you.